My wife wanted a boy, but we had a girl. Now she and her mother are secretly calling our daughter a strange feminine version of the boy's name we had chosen. She wants it changed legally. I'm convinced she's trying to turn our daughter into the son she wanted. When my wife, 31, and I, 29, were trying to get pregnant, we had a deal that if we have a boy, she would get to choose the full name, and if we had a daughter, I would. I was fine with this deal, but we both had a veto in case we didn't like the name the other had chosen. Once she got pregnant, my wife was completely sure that we're having a boy because a mother knows. Her entire family was convinced of it too. During baby shower, everything was blue and all the gifts were demanded to be masculine. Her mother had already started knitting things with the name my wife had chosen. Once the baby came, we saw it was a girl, and I was ecstatic because although I wanted both a boy and a girl, I always imagined my firstborn to be a girl. My wife, though seemingly exhausted, was happy too. When I wrote the name in the birth certificate, I let her know I was using the name I had already run past her. Now, a year later, I come home from work and I find my mother-in-law and wife they're talking about my daughter, only they're using another name. When I inquired who they were talking about, they kind of went deer in headlights and blurted that they were talking about daughter. When I asked why they were using another name, my mother-in-law said, because that's what we decided to name her. Then she went on a rant about how it's unfair that I chose the name and how it's completely unsuitable for her, etc. I was shocked because this was the first time anyone had claimed any objections to the name. So now I realize that the reason my daughter has trouble recognizing her name is because we have been using two different names the entire time. My wife later came to me suggesting we officially get her name changed, and I stuck to my guns and told her we're not doing that and she needs to stop. This led to a fight about how unsupportive I am and stole her right to name the child she gave birth to. I told her that the opportunity to veto any name is long gone, and she can't expect me to support something this stupid. Here's the worst part. I could be convinced to change the first name, but the one she wants is a very odd feminine version of a name she wanted for her son. Imagine using a female version of the name Drake or Thomas. She got angry and left both my daughter and I and went to her parents. Her entire family, except my father-in-law, is calling me controlling and how it's unfair I chose the entire name and made it all about myself. Honestly, this is so out of left field and creepy that I'm considering divorce. My parents and friends said they understand why I'm upset, but should come to a compromise and change the name to something we both like, and that divorce is overkill, but I don't think so. I feel it in my gut that she may be trying to recreate this son by sacrificing our daughter. If she can use a different name to address her for a year, what else has she been doing to her? Best comments. This whole setup is just weird. Your wife agreed to the name when she signed the birth certificate. That was her last chance to veto. And yes, the misnaming needs to stop. Maybe your wife is experiencing gender disappointment. Regardless, this is not okay. To secretly call your daughter a different name for a year without telling you shows how much respect she has with you as a parent. That is, none. They call you controlling, but they are ganging up on you in order to get their way. Is that not controlling? I suggest you start documenting everything your wife and her family does in invalidating you as a parent or anything that could be concerning with her as a primary caregiver. You may need it later, but I would try sitting down with her and discussing this when mother-in-law is not around. I would focus on why she made the original agreement if she didn't want to agree to it. Tell her you feel hurt that she would go through all these lengths to hide something from you rather than just asking for your input concerning your child. If this is how she is expecting parenting to be, then surely she can see that this isn't a healthy pattern. I find it hard to believe that you have both used different names for a year and no one has realized until now. They were only using that name when I wasn't around. In front of me, they would always use nicknames like my sugar, my darling, or my sweet now that I think about it. That is definitely weird and creepy. It seems like she's disappointed that it's a girl and not a boy. That will definitely lead to issues down the road for your daughter. And as her father, you need to protect her. Your wife may need some counseling about this issue. Update number 1. I really don't know what to think at the moment. I'm still so lost, but I'm much calmer now. My wife has been staying with her parents for almost 3 weeks. The first 2 weeks, I was in hell. My entire life seemed to be crumbling. I had so many sleepless nights due to nightmares about what would happen to my daughter running amok. Since the post, some suggested to talk to her pediatrician, which was something that should have happened immediately, but I was in so much shit that it just didn't pop in. According to her, the dual name should have had no effect whatsoever on my daughter's ability to recognize her name. It's more likely she is on the spectrum, which is a relief and a worry, I guess. My father-in-law called me last night and discussed the situation a bit further. He told me that my wife had a complete breakdown 3 days after getting there. She is currently in a center to get the help she needs, which explains why she's been radio silence. Her doctor is not entirely sure, but from the 2 sessions he's had, he suspects my wife has been going through some serious PPD as well as gender disappointment. He said that the only reason he's telling me this is because my wife is not capable of looking after my daughter and should not be around her no matter what. I really felt bad for him because he was on tears. He told me that after talking to my mother-in-law, he found out that the only thing my wife has done so far is the name thing. And that was just for a few months. He told me that mother-in-law has been wanting to see my daughter, but would understand if I don't let her. He also insinuated that mother-in-law may try to take her to meet my wife and to be a bit careful. I don't know if I believe that the name thing is the only thing my wife did, but I will regard his warning. He also told me that my wife had a tiny breakdown already in front of mother-in-law while taking care of my daughter, and instead of helping my wife out, she placated her by using the name thing to calm her down. I appreciate the support, but I really feel like a big asshole for being so freaking oblivious to my own wife's issues. I feel like such a crappy partner and father. I should have seen this sooner. The entire pregnancy was a very clear cry for help, and like my mother-in-law, I also placated her fantasy of having a son. Clearly having a son was so important for her, and I have no clue why. Father-in-law suggested that it may have been because his family always favored sons, and it may have traumatized her to a certain degree, but I don't know. I feel like shit, and all I can do now is hope my wife gets better and take care of my daughter. I don't know what's in store for our marriage, and I can't really focus on that right now. Best comments. Holy shit, that took an unexpected turn. I am so sorry. Please hang in there, your daughter needs you. And your wife is getting help. She is the hands of professionals now, so just sit tight. And glad to hear you're planning on keeping your daughter away from mother-in-law. I wouldn't let them see her until your wife is better and long home from the hospital and discussions on boundaries are had. Mother-in-law sounds pretty unstable herself. She has been an enabler to Opie's wife. At least your wife is getting the help she needs now. Take your father-in-law's warning to heart. Do not let your mother-in-law with your kid unless you are there, and possibly a friend as well in case you have to go to the bathroom. She does not get unsupervised visits.